Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And tonight's NXT, both in star power and match quality, came out with guns blazing. What a fun hour this was, guys, as we inch ever closer to NXT Takeover London. Tonight, we got more of the card revealed to us. And again, just some top-notch quality matchups for NXT TV, particularly one tag team match that I'll be excited to talk about, and one hell of a barn burner in the main event. You couldn't ask for a better hour. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
You know, this NXT was great and unique, I think, because the way it started out, we had two squash matches as our first two matches on this show. But they almost did this show like what they do with their live specials, where they put the sort of like write-off matches, like, yeah, this is going to be a solid match, but you're not going to care 3 weeks from now kind of thing, early on in the show, and they build up to the great stuff. And the last two matches on this show were, in my opinion, the best two matches on the show.
Oh, my goodness, yes. I mean, yeah.
They even had it right down to the main event involved a world title contender in Joe, and the semi-main event was a women's match. So it's even more like what most of their live special cards look like.
I really am glad you made that observation, particularly about the progression of the card from like these squash matches to more competent, like competitive matches, because I didn't even take stock of that fact. And we also got some vignettes and some interviews peppered in that really strengthened some storylines and definitely teased some great things coming in the future. So with that said, you want to get right into our first segment?
Before we do, completely random, we got an Elias Samson vignette tonight. Do you remember what segments that happened between? Because I forgot to write it down in my notes.
Oh, I forget what segments that happened between myself.
All right, you know what? We're just going to talk about it in between the Vaudevillains match and the Alex Reyes interview with Emma and Dana Brooke.
That sounds perfect to me.
I think that seems around where it happened. So now let's go to our first segment.
Heat of the night. I have got zero complaints about this show. Honestly, if I had any complaints, it'd be with the WWE Network. It did crap on me at a part of this show. I apologize, guys. Makes me really irked. That's my only complaint here.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that, like, John is over here paying $10 a month for the network, and I was watching this on a completely different stream, and the quality and the consistency of the one that I was watching it on was like leaps and bounds better than John's. Like, I was freaking out, like, oh my god, this match is amazing, watching the main event. Meanwhile, John's dead silent over here. After the match was over, I said, dude, why weren't you reacting? He said, well, yeah, because the network was botching out on me. So frickin' A, WWE Network. Congratulations on losing another subscriber.
Yeah, exactly. WWE Network is my heat of the millennium. Go screw yourselves. But other than that, this show in itself deserves nothing but praise, and that's all it's getting from me. Ashton, what about you, bud?
No, I completely agree. This was a really good show. I don't even think that I can nitpick anything on this show. This was, again, last week I said it was the best non-live special episode of NXT TV of the year. This episode gives that a run for its money. This is a great television show.
It really, really was. But with that said, I don't want to contain myself anymore. I don't think you do either. So let us get right into our NXT review. And we open up with the lone wolf, Baron Corbin.
And I know why you sound as giddy as you do, because his opponent was
Ty Dillinger.
Of course.
The perfect zero.
Wow. You forgot the one in front of it, John.
No, I really didn't. And judging by the looks of things, Baron Corbin didn't either. I will say, though, again, I always like taking my playful little digs at the beginning because Ashton's just such a fan of Ty Dillinger, and that fandom is getting him nowhere. But
No,
Dillinger,
you know what, though? Ty Dillinger is like 235 pounds. Baron Corbin is a heavyweight. He's playing in the wrong weight class. Baron Corbin should have been disqualified for being overweight in this match.
So you're thinking collusion between the Bookers and Baron Corbin to keep Ty Dillinger down?
Of course. Let's see Baron Corbin against someone in his own weight class for once. Last time we saw that, it was freaking Bull Dempsey, and as I recall, he took him to the limit.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You may be onto something there, but here's the thing.
Didn't Samoa Joe beat Baron Corbin? He's in the same weight class.
That's true as well.
Yeah. See, Corbin's overrated as long as you make sure that he's in his own weight class, the punk.
Oh my God, look at you substantiating that fandom. But here's the thing.
Hey man, all I'm saying is Ty Dillinger's undefeated as long as he's fighting in his own weight class.
Oh my God. I really am hoping still that Ty Dillinger gets his time to shine, because one thing that this match made evident.
You keep saying that.
And I mean it. What, you think I'm being disingenuous?
Well, you keep saying that, and then when he gets squashed by Baron Corbin, you get giddy about it. So,
look, just because
actions speak louder than words, and your actions are telling me that you really love watching Ty Dillinger get beat up by people.
No, I really enjoy seeing people get abused. I mean, I enjoy Enzo and Cass, but I'm very much looking forward to the mechanics re-aggravating Cass's MCL. You know, there's no animosity between me and Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger's just another victim for my amusement. I mean, Caltag Star 96 and Kid Coheed would understand. You know, we're all sadists.
Well, and I was just gonna say that's really what it kind of sums up to at the end of the day is. It's not that you really have any favorites. You just are sadistic. You're a sadist. You get off on other people being in pain.
I really, really do. Like, even the Sami Zayn vignettes, I'm just thinking, man, I can't wait to see Kevin Owens powerbomb him again on that shoulder. You know, so like my thoughts always still towards the violent. But here's the thing.
When was Sami Zayn's vignette? I was really off on my note-taking tonight.
The vignette... I feel like that was... No, not before the main event. Was that before the... I don't even know. We know that the vignettes happened, and we'll just talk about them whenever. We know that they happened, so at least we'll be able to talk about them. But
yeah, I'll just toss them in there randomly.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say about Baron Corbin and Ty Dillinger, because I want to get my thoughts about this match. One thing that was made evident to me on Ty Dillinger's side, this gimmick is still incredibly over, despite not really getting pushed down the hill and accumulating that momentum behind it. Like, fans want this to succeed, and they're into it. So to me in NXT, that's always a good sign. So it tells me that Ty Dillinger, you know, he may have to take a few shots here and there in the beginning. Sooner or later, he's going to get a nice rub, I think. Now, I don't want to be hyperbolic and say, oh, the rub will take him here or there, but I do think he'll get somewhere because the fans want him to go somewhere. So I'm happy to see that this gimmick is still being well received. That said, you know, this really was an uphill battle. Now, Ty Dillinger wasn't completely punked out, to be fair. He did get a super kick in. He did get some offense, but of course
I even have in my notes that this match lasted a little bit longer than Corbin's usual squashes.
Exactly, which puts Ty Dillinger above a lot of Baron Corbin's usual opponents, which I think is really cool, because considering that Baron Corbin's going to be facing, you know, Apollo Crews in London, it's nice that they got to show that Ty Dillinger's got a little bit of toughness in himself, and they didn't just sacrifice him for the sake of making Apollo Crews ultimately look good in the end. So, you know, it was great to see him get that little bit of offense. I liked what Corbin did here. You know, he even had, I forget the terminology of it, but he kind of packaged Ty Dillinger up, and then he kind of flipped him over and slammed him on his back.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, that was a nice maneuver in Corbin's, and then he just comes right down with the right hand. And it's funny, Ashton, because you've always said that you love Baron Corbin's strikes. I loved how he utilized his striking ability in this match. I thought that was
elbows,
really,
his knees. Yeah, he's not necessarily the complete package yet, but I don't think anyone in NXT is closer to being just that right now.
I know, dude, I was even thinking while watching this match, and you know that you and I have never really come down hard against Corbin even from the beginning, but that's not to say that you and I can't measure progress, and I'm just looking at this match and I'm thinking, wow, Corbin's come, in my mind, such a long way since his debut. And yeah, this match I think really illustrated that here. I will say again, going back to the giddiness a little bit, I love seeing Ty Dillinger on the top rope. The crowd's getting all into it. 10, 10, 10. And I'm like, gee, I wonder, is Corbin going to catch him? And of course he does. And he transitions it right into the end of days and the 3 count. So, got to show that Ty Dillinger isn't going to go quietly. You know, he showed some fight in him, but ultimately Baron Corbin was just too much. Very straightforward matchup. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was quick, but it wasn't as quick as most of Corbin's squash matches. So, I would call that a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up next, we had a Kyle Edwards interview with Apollo Crews. John still probably hates Kyle Edwards' face, even though I think he's awesome because Arda Ocal is amazing for the score. Aftermath for the win, but still a Crews really just kind of reacting to Corbin and the fact that Corbin just squashed the guy and the fact that he has a match with him at London, etc., etc.
Yeah, we also know that next week Baron Corbin's going to be teaming with Samoa Joe and Apollo Crews is going to be teaming with Finn Balor. Apollo Crews has also inquired about if he's worried about Finn Balor given the condition he was left in last week, you know, being choked out yet again by Samoa Joe.
That's definitely a concern. Do we think Joe is going to win that match by choking one of the 2 baby faces out?
Probably.
I kind of have that feeling. Because, like, if you look at these 4 guys, who do you let eat the pin? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I really don't know. Because Apollo Crews
you would basically have to you would basically have to have Joe hit a muscle buster, and then Corbin hits an end of days, and then Joe locks in the coquina clutch on whoever it is, whether it's Crews or Balor. And that's how they win the match. They just make the guy pass out.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine them winning any other way.
Unless the match just gets thrown out because maybe it just gets out of control with all the animosity.
Well, I'm kind of going under the premise that we're going to have a finish, but your thinking is probably more correct than mine because it's much more likely that we just flat out won't have a finish.
Right. I mean, yeah, because you've really got to protect all 4 of these guys because they're all in, you know, big matches in their own right come London.
Yeah.
And yeah. The Apollo Crews promo, really not that special. He even does, like, I say, well, actually, yes, I am concerned about Finn Balor. Like, well, you better be. Guy's been choked out, like, repeatedly leading up to this whole thing. But, you know, he does maintain his confidence. You know, he does maintain that he will beat Baron Corbin, so.
Yeah, it's like Finn Balor is the greatest champion of all time. He just has one weakness. Being choked out.
Yeah. You know, it's funny too, because I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, Apollo, you know, I really hope you know what you're getting into. But again, his confidence seems strong, and yeah, he's pretty sure
he's hopeless. He doesn't know what he's getting into.
Well, there you go. So, what came after this, bud?
Well, after this, we had another interview. This is with a new interviewer somebody that we've never seen before that I know of, a man that we found out later on in the night. His name is Alex Reyes, and his interview here is with Tommaso Ciampa.
This was a very good interview.
I love Ciampa's promos. He is able to sell a match in a way that makes you really believe that he wants nothing more in life than to beat the shit out of whoever he's going against.
You know, Ciampa, at least in this promo, right, really communicated to me a quality that I really don't see much in many talkers anymore, and that's that, like, this match, this moment means everything to him.
Yeah, and it's an intensity, I think, a passion.
Yeah, that's the word. It's an intensity, an authenticity, a passion. You know, he's really saying, like, this is all or nothing for me. And I love his whole narrative in this thing, right, where he says, I know that everybody in this arena thinks that I can't beat Samoa Joe, but I know I can. And he's got like this fire, but there's no camp in it. You know, I know me relaying it may seem like, oh my God, that's cheesy. It wasn't. He delivered it straight.
I think what's so great about this being on NXT though is that nobody else in NXT cuts promos like this.
No, they don't.
If you would have him on the main roster and you would have him surrounded by like your Randy Orton, your Cesaro, your Sheamus, guys that not all the time, but can cut these really serious, down-to-earth, like, I need to win this, my life depends on it kind of promos. I don't think Ciampa would look as special, but in NXT, nobody else does that.
I would say most people, even on the main roster, don't do it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would
agree that most people on the main roster don't do that, but there are a lot more people on the main roster that do it than there are on NXT.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And I
Like in
love
NXT, literally nobody does it. Even if
Right.
like 95% of the people on Raw don't do it, it's still a huge jump.
Right, exactly. And I love Ciampa's closing sentiment, and that's right. I said Ciampa. It still annoys me when people say Ciampa, but that's another
Which
story.
every single commentator did tonight. But I will give props to Miss Dasha Fuentes, who is the ring announcer. She got it right.
Well, good on Dasha there. That's what we need more. We need more consistency and proper pronunciation. But I loved Ciampa's closing remarks, saying, and when I beat Samoa Joe, when I beat the number one contender for the NXT Championship, everything changes.
Yep.
Love that confidence.
And that would have to be true, because you imagine, I mean, if you would have beaten Joe, what would happen then with the title match? Would it have been made a triple threat, or would Ciampa have taken Joe's spot, or would Regal have just kind of let it ride out and made Ciampa the number one contender after the match was over?
Yeah, I would have to think that final option, but I just love the confidence in Ciampa nonetheless, saying like, I know if I win this match, I take control of my destiny. I take control of my place here in NXT. And
Yeah,
man, I want to see more promos like that, man. Because again, it's that passion. I've always identified with really passionate promo talkers, in the business. And
that was
Ciampa,
what I first really saw in Ciampa that made me a fan of his when he was on the Indies in the first place. I remember, I think it was in 2010. Yeah, 2010. When Daniel Bryan got quote unquote fired by WWE for choking Justin Roberts out with his own tie.
Yeah.
Ciampa actually cut a promo on Bryan asking for a match, not with the WWE superstar, not with the I think this might have been slightly after when they brought him back and he got feuded with the Miz or something like that, because I know I remember him mentioning he doesn't want a match with the United States champion, he wants a match with the American Dragon. And like he did this awesome bit talking about how he wants to see that guy come back and he wants to fight him and that kind of thing. And like that promo was what sold me on Ciampa as a talker. I was like, okay, this guy can work. This guy can talk. He's got everything. Why is WWE not calling his number? And it took another 5 years for them to finally do it.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy how things work out.
Yeah, absolutely. So then after the two interviews, we got our second match of the night. Another squash match, similar to the first one. Nia Jax versus Blue Pants. And I think NXT does squash matches right, because going into it that the other person doesn't have a chance, but they still show a little something. They don't necessarily get a full-on shine, I wouldn't say, but they still show a little something that kind of just leads you to believe, like, maybe if this other person wasn't on such a roll, they might have stood a chance.
Okay, these are just my rapid-fire observations from this match, because I really don't have much to say on that. I'll pass the ball over to you.
Okay.
One, love the Blue Pants remix theme. I thought it was awesome.
Oh, I hated it.
I liked it.
Oh.
I can't wait for its release, because I'll probably play, that. Cause
serious?
I really liked it. I preferred it
Why?
to the original theme. Yeah, no, I love a good remix, and I thought it was a good remix.
But it wasn't even a remix. It was just a completely different song. At least Cass's was recognizable as the Price is Right theme song.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe they thought they were getting in kind of muddy waters, Price is Right theme, all that good stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I feel like they took everything that was fun about it and took it away.
Second observation, I think I will like, and I think I actually prefer for Nia Jax, the Samoan drop transition and then the leg drop rather than the Uranagi and the leg drop.
Dude,
I thought that worked better.
In my notes, I even have her Samoan drop is better than the Usos and Reigns by far. Her Samoan drop is legit. That looks like it would frickin' hurt bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that new sequence as opposed to Uranagi, because the Uranagi to me, like, it's not that it was bad, but to me the Samoan drop, I think
the setup felt very contrived.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a perfect word for it. Third observation, and then I guess this is kind of a gray area depending on how you look at it. I really already started to miss, because the way she pinned Blue Pants, I like when she pins people and she smiles at the camera. Because we were just talking about with Ciampa and his promo, when you're down in NXT, you stand out and you're distinct. I feel like it's the little things in this business And Nia Jax doing that, I feel like, kind of set her apart. Now, I do like that she just pinned Blue Pants with one foot, just kind of standing atop because of her size and everything else. But, you don't really see a big person. Like, that's pretty cliche when you're a big person. I'm just going to put the one foot on and I'm going to pin him. When as Nia Jax, she lays her arms down and she's just smiling right at you because she knows it's over. And I really like that. So I'm hoping this is only a one-off thing, but I actually prefer the little things because I think, that's what really matters in this business. So those are just my rapid-fire observations about this match.
Yeah, I honestly, I agree with you with that last part. I think that what makes the double shoulder pin with the smile on her face kind of awkward is that has to transition to that from the leg drop.
Right.
So I agree with you mostly in that it's just kind of a gray area because I don't think either one of them is just right. I feel like there's still some fine tuning to do, but knowing WWE, they're probably going to settle on one or the other because they can't come up with something better.
And you know what, though? Like, I have all the patience in the world for Nia Jax to do that fine-tuning because her athleticism, when she caught Blue Pants in that backbreaker that she did, or like that Gutbuster, like, that was beautiful.
I remember I saw she did a really good-looking shoulder breaker, too.
That's what it was, a shoulder breaker, yeah. When she caught that move, I was like, damn. And then, of course, that Samoa drop that we were just gushing over earlier.
That wasn't even athleticism, though. That was just pure power.
That was sick, is what that was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Nia Jax, she's got all the tools. I just think it's the overall arrangement that we need to keep working on. And it's not even, like, really big things. Again, it's those subtle things that just make all the difference.
When Dana Brooke first became a thing, I kept on saying, like, everything about her is perfect except the performer. Like, she had the perfect theme song, the perfect gimmick, the perfect entrance, the perfect finisher. Everything about her was perfect. The performer was just not good. She was green as goose shit in the ring. She threw some of the worst punches I had ever seen. She couldn't talk. Just the performer was not good. Nia Jax, I feel like, is the exact opposite of that. She's got a great entrance and all that stuff, but what she's missing is just some of the finer aspects of her character. But I think they do have the right performer with her.
Yeah, and see, I think the latter problem that you just described is preferable, to have than the former problem, because I think that's more of an uphill climb.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because you can teach somebody, you can teach somebody how to, do really fine-tuned character-based things much easier than you could teach somebody how to be a better wrestler.
Exactly. So, to me, I think Nia Jax is going to put it all together. I do really like what I see overall, and I'm still really excited about the prospect of her facing Bayley at TakeOver London. Now, that wasn't confirmed tonight, was it? It was just kind of implied, like she's hunting Bayley down.
I don't know, man. I think it was maybe not necessarily made official, but the only thing that they're missing at this point is like a freaking contract signing, because we did get that segment later on in the night where Bayley said that she's willing to accept any challenges, and then Nia shows up, stares her down, and she's just like, yeah, I'm willing to accept any challenge and that kind of thing.
Oh, see, I didn't even see that segment, so I wonder if
it happened between the Emma match and the main event. So
that explains it then, because you knew I was having problems.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So it's not technically official, but it's basically everything but official.
Well, yeah, now that you told me that, oh my God, yeah, there's no disputing it. You don't put that kind of effort in, and they'd be like, psych, we're doing Bayley versus whoever, it's just
versus
not
Alexa,
happen.
number 2.
Exactly. So I'm really excited that you told me that. I'm kicking myself that's another thing I missed, freaking WWE Network, but that's gonna be awesome.
That's worth being
think.
Salty over, I think.
No, I really am salty, dude, because, like, you know me, like, I
mean,
love
not only that,
this.
though, that and the freaking Ciampa Joe match, you need, even if you want me to watch it with you, we need to watch this freaking episode again so that you can catch those last 2 segments.
Yeah, I'll definitely catch up. No worries about that, but for the moment, I am,
When we get to it, Ciampa Joe was just, wow. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Up next, we had Tom Phillips doing a sit-down interview, which I like, new little kind of format for getting guys, spouting what they have to say, with Dash and Dawson, with the mechanics. And Phillips brings up that they hurt people and asks them if they are kind of aware of the repercussions, and they're just like, what repercussions? These repercussions? Referring to the tag team championships. And they're just like, well, we're well aware of these and that kind of thing. So they really don't give a crap that they hurt people. So they really are, John. You're really like your dream tag team, aren't they?
Oh my god, I know. I was laughing
Dude,
so
can
hard.
you even choose between them and Jordan and Gable?
Oh, absolutely. Jordan and Gable all day. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Okay. Well,
That's...
I know that you love Jordan and Gable, but these guys just seem so right up your alley.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Between the actual tag team psychology with the isolating the opponent, cutting the ring in half, and the constant tags, and the isolating a body part, and they just kind of do everything right for you. Plus, they're totally sadistic and love just ruining people's lives.
Oh, I love these guys to death, and make no mistake, I mean, I love Jordan and Gable, but if we're going to give any credit to really the revival of what tag team wrestling is, the Mechanics personify it. They have brought tag team wrestling back to what it's supposed to be, a science, an art form. These guys,
okay,
I mean,
you can't have both.
You know what? They can have both, or else they'll shatter your leg. Tell that to their face. And I personally can't wait to see them try and end Colin Cassidy's career for a second time.
Or
and that's
shatter your lungs with their finisher called the Shatter Machine.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, I would love to be their manager because I would revel in every second of it. But yeah, they pretty much said, yeah, what
so like, I guess what it really comes down to is these guys are the team that you would most want to be a part of if you were in the wrestling business, while Jordan and Gable are just your favorite.
Oh, Jordan and Gable bring me back to, like, the peak of my wrestling fandom as a child. Like, just that pure mat wrestling, technically sound kind of pick you apart. Yeah, well, Haas Benjamin, I mean, you know, Benoit Angle, you know, that kind of era. Whereas, you know, Dawson and Dash, you know, the Mechanics, I just love the sadism. I love that they just pick people apart and they're so unapologetic about it. And they're even saying, you know, you guys didn't even deserve this tag title opportunity, but you know what? How's it gonna feel being 7 foot tall, Cass, with a broken leg riding back from London, you know, in coach? And then we're gonna take your little accessory, carry on Enzo Amore, and we're gonna stuff him in the upper bin. It was great. You know, I think
another
these
line
guys...
I love from this promo is they called Enzo and Cass the catchphrase kings.
Yes.
That's such a great douchebag pet name for them.
You know what? I'm just going to come out and say it. I know we've said it before, but I think it bears repeating. I think this team is going to go down as like one of the greats because of their in-ring ability, you know, their psychology and everything else, but they're going to be totally overlooked for their talking and their promo skills, which I think is a shame because I think they're actually a little bit above competent for my liking. I enjoy their promos, and I think you do too, because I've heard you say like how much you love Scott Dawson and how, you know, they've got like a humorous edge to them at times that I think you can identify with.
Yeah, I feel like you said slightly above competent. I think Dash is right on that line of competence, and Dawson is quite a bit above it. So, like, if you average them out, it comes out to, like, slightly above, yeah.
Right, yeah, I would completely agree with you there. And you know what? As much as I love Jordan and Gable, you know, I also love a slow burn, and I like they're taking their time with them. I couldn't think of a team more worthy to be NXT Tag Team Champions right now than the Mechanics. They are killing it right now.
I'm definitely curious to see where they go now with the Vaudevillains, though. But we will get to them in just a couple segments here.
Yes, absolutely.
Up next, though, we had our third match of the night. We had 6 matches tonight, John.
Stacked card, man. Stacked card.
Yeah, our third match of the night, Adam Rose versus James Storm. Not really a full-on squash match. Again, though, it feels like they're progressing. Like, first match of the night was probably the shortest, and then the matches just got longer and more competitive as the night went on, and I love that. But Rose versus Storm, it felt like Adam Rose got a really decent amount of offense here, but it never really felt like the match was swaying in his favor to the point that he might actually win.
You know what? Like, I just have to say and get it off my chest. Like, nothing about this match was bad. I enjoyed it. I think it's great, you know, that James Storm is getting this opportunity. But I'm not gonna lie. This match actually kind of depressed me, if for no other reason, just looking at Adam Rose and being like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and again, I don't want to talk.
I wonder if James Storm will start up a cult in NXT like what he had in TNA, and Adam Rose will join it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, God only knows with WWE, but I do trust.
Who else has James Storm beaten? Didn't he beat that British guy Martin Stone?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe James Storm will start a cult, and all the people that he's beaten so far will join it.
Well, maybe. But yeah, I felt so depressed after that match. I'm thinking, does anybody even remember how good Adam Rose used to be, even like before the Adam Rose gimmick? And I don't know, man. It's really a shame to see how much his stock has fallen these days, when there was a time when you and I were so excited about the type of performer that he was. And that excitement, is still there because we know he's still just as good. It's just the way he's been handled, man.
It's funny. It's not funny. You're right. It is depressing. But what is funny is I feel like even though he's been Adam Rose for so long now, and even though he had the African Prince gimmick beforehand, he just is Leo Kruger, the Hunter gimmick.
Yeah.
Like that's just who he is. Like, I don't feel like Adam Rose is even Adam Rose. I feel like Adam Rose is Leo Kruger trying to like blend in with society or something. You know what I mean? Like everything,
I know, man.
Everything other than that Leo Kruger Hunter gimmick feels unnatural for him at this point. Even in hindsight, going back to like the African Prince thing, that feels like it just wasn't quite right yet. And then when he finally pulled that freaking tooth out on camera and said everything is about to change and started, wearing the black wife beater and some freaking cargo pants, that just felt like it was right for him, man.
It really did. I mean, I apologize for taking that detour, but I'm just watching that match and I'm like, man, I miss Leo Kruger, and I know,
really do. And the crappy part is too, like someone on Reddit posted about the history of NXT before the network. So like everything before NXT arrival, because a lot of people, specifically a lot of people in the US, didn't really have access to NXT unless they would have watched it online and really like dug hard to try and find it like we did. Like we went so far out of our way to try and find NXT to watch every week. But in the UK they had it, and I think maybe even in Canada they had it on just regular TV show networks. But regardless, what I'm trying to get at is they were talking about Leo Kruger as this hunter, and I was just like, wait. Before the network, I mean, if you want to go back to the beginning of when NXT first became what it is today with the Full Sail infusion, it was the African King gimmick. He was royalty. He was like a total snob, and he did random bowing in the ring, and we loved it back then, but then he became Leo freaking Kruger, and it took a billion steps up.
Yeah, for you, me, and everybody else, because I mean, we're not a minority here. I think everybody
But I think it's worth pointing out, though, that like people don't even remember that was a thing because of how much better Leo Kruger, the Hunter gimmick, was.
Exactly. And you know that I really like, back in our, here's a throwback for you from the old TWitWows we used to do. Like, I was really big on the African King gimmick. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then he does Leo Kruger, and it's like, holy shit, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And to know that he is a guy, because here's the thing, too, and again, I hate to be like that really cynical, negative guy right now, but I just gotta be honest. You have Adam Rose come out tonight, like, to the old music, the crowd's into it, and then he does, like, the cutting off motion. No promo or anything from what I can recollect. He looked just like a regular guy, which is a shame, because he's got a great look. But, like, what even is he anymore? I feel like he doesn't even really, like, I get it, the whole party pooper thing, but I feel like his identity now has no substance. It's like his identities it just really fluctuated, and now he's in a place where, like, I just can't have any investment. And James Storm, I mean, he gets the win, obviously, after the last call super kick, and it's a shame that a guy like Adam Rose, who put all of his time in FCW and NXT and all that stuff, has really become fodder for a guy whose career was primarily TNA, and only now is he trying his hand here. Like, I don't know.
He's his second opponent.
Yeah, leaves a really bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's funny because I feel like Adam Rose's best bet is to just have, like, Raw show random videos of him starting to lose his mind, and then he goes back to being Leo Kruger. But I feel like the most likely outcome is he's going to end up getting future endeavored within the next year or two.
That would not surprise me at all. And here's the thing,
And the crappy part is WWE probably has the Leo Kruger name copyrighted, so he can't even go back to that.
Yeah, and you know what the shame of it is? I mean, really, when you think about it, because we've all been kind of down on the WWE product lately, and in my mind, rightfully so. I feel like even if he were to be Leo Kruger, it's in the wrong place at the wrong time, because WWE, because he would be undercard, and you know how WWE regards the undercard. It's start, stop, or, the really unfortunate ones, there is no start even at all. And I just feel like he wouldn't even really be doing anything. So at least he got a little bit of time in this match. That's always a positive, because I do enjoy seeing him work, and he did get some offense. But James Storm is the hot ticket item right now, when he appears, and he got the win.
All right, let's bring the energy up a little bit. Sami Zayn return hype vignette up next.
Oh man, I love how they're building to this, man. This is great.
Do you think is his return like his first appearance in front of an NXT crowd on camera gonna just be at NXT Takeover London?
Part of me says yes. Another part of me says it's going to be the NXT after Takeover London that'll probably return.
I could see it being either one, but I feel like if they really want to make this big deal out of it, then they would just do it at London.
Because I could see the London crowd going crazy for Sami Zayn, cutting the promo, being like, I'm back.
But then there's also like that sense of entitlement that Full Sail has. Like, why would you not give that return to us?
Exactly. We deserve it more than they do. But regardless, this video package was great. I love how they, recap the memory of him finally winning the NXT championship. That show was so good. And
to this day, that was probably the best NXT live special ever.
Yeah, dude, that was amazing. Right down to, when the show went off the air, like the final image, the whole start of the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens feud. Just great scene.
For that to come back.
Oh, you and me both.
I hope that he has his big triumphant NXT return in 2 or 3 weeks, and then he debuts on the main roster at the Royal Rumble, just right there, boom, within a month.
That's what a lot of people are thinking. I know you first started asserting that view, but I see that it's caught steam among other people. They're kind of thinking of a similar timetable for him because they really want to see, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn IC Championship feud.
I've got dreams, John, and it's a really bad thing for a WWE fan to actually have.
Yeah, trust me. I think you and I know that from experience. But
I want Sami to debut at the Rumble on the main roster, or return, I guess, because he did have his technical debut in Montreal. And I want him to eliminate Kevin Owens and start a feud and lose to Kevin Owens at Fastlane and then beat him at WrestleMania for the title. Oh, please.
That feud will be amazing, and it's one that the IC Championship really needs. But in the present moment, this vignette was great, and I know we all can't wait to see Sami Zayn return, so it's going to be an amazing moment.
Every time I think about how many people are injured, I just get so depressed, man. Literally the 3 best baby faces, the 3 guys in this company who do the best at actually connecting with the fans, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, and Hideo Itami, all hurt right now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And on top of that, the recent injury of Cesaro, who I feel like was getting close to being in that class. It's just, it's a sad time,
and Seth
dude.
Rollins, who, if he would ever actually be a babyface, would undoubtedly also be in that class.
Dude, I told you, and I'll tell everybody, it didn't take long for me to tell you at all how much I already miss Seth. And it hasn't even begun yet. I don't even mean to be oh, woe is me. That's not what it's about. It's just the product is so bad. You could tell how much better Seth made it.
We'll talk about how bad the Raw product is in January when we start reviewing Raws again.
Oh, yeah, we will. But
less than a month away, bud.
Yeah, I know. Yippity-doo-dah, yippity-day. But, Sami Zayn, great vignette, and we all can't wait to see him come back.
Up next, we had an Alex Reyes interview with the Vaudevillains. They are facing Jordan and Gable tonight, and it just so happens that Jordan and Gable are in the building, and they show up at this interview, and they say, hey, in case you guys weren't aware, we're pretty good. And as a matter of fact, we're actually pretty great. And no matter who the winner actually is between these 2 teams tonight, the real winner is the fans at Full Sail.
Chad Gable makes this weird joke where it's man, it gets harder to leave this place. Must be something in the water. Am I right? And then Jason Jordan just kind of looks at him no. And Chad Gable's well, you don't remember that whole line in the promo?
No, that was what Chad Gable looked at Jason Jordan.
Okay. I was like, oh my God, don't tell me there's a disconnect right now, because I know he said that. But yeah, no, that team, I just love the awkwardness. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
And you've got,
These guys are recapturing the magic that Emma originally had as a babyface.
I know, right? And Vaudevillains playing it totally straight. It's like, look, we've had some setbacks lately, but the fact is we are former NXT Tag Team Champions, and tonight we must win. So, they know the importance of this match. It's to get back on a winning track, which will ultimately lead them back to contendership, in the future. So they realize the implications of it. And then Jordan and Gable, of course, to your point, they interrupt, which I loved. And then Gable says, regardless, we're ready. And then Jordan says, willing. And then Gable's all shocked, like, I didn't even have to ask him this time. So sick. And Gable. Oh my God, love it so much. And then they shake.
I love too that in the process of trying to get their actual catchphrase, Ready, Willing, and Gable, over, they've gotten another catchphrase, so sick, also over.
I know, right?
These guys can do no wrong.
They really can't. God,
and speaking of their inability to do wrong, we have their match next.
Oh my God. No, I'd say by default that this was my match of the night because my stream crapped out for the main event, so it isn't even fair. But...
Well, and your stream crapped out for the Emma versus Liv Morgan match too, and I thought that match was maybe just a tick better than this one too.
I don't know, because I did see parts of the Emma Liv Morgan matchup, and
did you see the latter half of it though?
I did see, not really much of that, no, because I saw the curb stomp and the Emma lock for the pin.
Well, the build up to the curb stomp was freaking amazing.
Nice.
We'll talk about it when we get to it, but right now let's talk about the Vaudevillains, Jordan and Gable.
But mostly Jordan and Gable, because you know what,
have you jumped off the Vaudevillains bandwagon?
It's funny. I think I was ready to jump off, but then seeing the post-match, I think I can stay on it because they're going to be going on different paths anyway, and I like that. But Jordan and Gable, man, the double teams though. Working over the leg, especially, the leg-based offense was so sick. And I loved it. I
love it when they do, just passing a body off to the other person.
Right, though, it's so different to me. I totally see many
Gable, Gable had Aiden English in, a cross leg. It looked almost like he would have been able to go for, the Red Ink, Okada's signature submission move that he does. And he tags Jordan in, and Jordan comes in and gets a reverse headlock on him.
Yeah. And it's just, oh my God.
And then, we had a moment where Jordan had Aiden English pinned to the ground with one of his legs held up, and he tagged Gable in, and Gable goes off the ropes and flips over that whole mass of humanity while grabbing Aiden English's foot and slamming it in the wrong direction.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
These guys are so entertaining. And you know what, though? As amazing as they are, and I know I said they can do no wrong, I actually found something about somebody on this team that I have something to say something about that's not necessarily positive.
Well, that was really quite wordy. What is it? What'd you observe?
Gable still has some work to do in the ring psychology department.
Okay, fair enough.
You notice he got thrown literally over the top rope and landed on the outside, right?
Right.
Well, I don't really have too much of a problem with the fact that he kicked out literally at 2 after that happened, but then he got dragged over to the Vaudevillains corner. Simon Gotch went for a pin, and there was this weird disconnect where Gable had his feet up in the air like he was ready to kick out before the ref even started counting, but he waited for the ref to get to 2 to kick out. Little tiny things like that take me out of the match a little bit.
No, then that's fair enough. That's why they're here, because they keep working at it, and hopefully Chad Gable will get better at it. I will say, keeping the conversation on Jordan and Gable, this tag team was probably the best thing to ever happen to Jason Jordan, because I feel like it's helped him develop a personality, and he's over with the crowd, which I think I've said this before, but it bears repeating. One of my original fears with this team was it was going to be all about Chad Gable and leaving Jason Jordan out in the cold. And, that would be fine if they were going to break up soon, but this team was only just really getting started. So I'm like, they've both got to get over if this is has any kind of long-term potential.
The crazy thing about this team is that the crowd cheers for every single tag.
Yes,
because
dude.
no matter who's in the ring, they're always just as excited for whoever's coming into the ring that's new.
Exactly. And I love the energy of this team. I love Jordan's hot tag where it's just the pure power. His capture suplex is a thing of beauty.
Oh, and that sequence tonight when English was running the ropes.
Yeah.
Jordan did a leapfrog, and then he did a drop down, and then I think Aiden English went to do a leapfrog, and Jordan caught him in midair.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so glad that they're really emphasizing Jordan's power game as kind of like that facet of the team, because it's just a great sequence to watch unfold. And then, of course, the double team, like high angle back suplex bridge for the win on Simon Gotch, which I did take note because I didn't know if Aiden English was going to eat the pin again or not, because the past two Vaudevillains matchups, Aiden English has eaten the either the pin or the submission, eaten the finish, I'll say, and Simon Gotch did it this week. So yeah, Jordan and Gable win again. They're clearly being built up as future number one contenders, which I am salivating for. Yeah. But the really interesting note here, Aiden English helps Simon Gotch up. Jordan and Gable, they offer handshakes, they shook hands backstage, before the match. Now they're trying to shake hands after the match. Vaudevillains look like they're going to go for it, but they stuff Jordan and Gable and they leave.
Can I point out, this show as a whole almost felt like a really kind of de facto double turn for these two teams, because for the longest time, Jordan and Gable were heels that just got massively cheered by the crowd, even though they were still booked as heels.
Right.
But recently, they're kind of being booked more and more like baby faces, but it never really connected with like a full switch. Right. And the Vaudevillains now tonight, like between Jordan and Gable, and specifically Gable talking about the crowd and how, it's getting harder and harder to want to get out of this arena and that kind of stuff, and really just kind of pandering. And now this, where they're being like the respectable team, and even earlier on in the night during the interview where they said about how they respected the Vaudevillains for being former champions, like they are full on babyface now, while the Vaudevillains after this match, after snubbing the handshake, are full on heel, right?
Yes. And, it's interesting to see the Vaudevillains return to this territory. And I will say, as a fan of the Vaudevillains, I get to breathe a sigh of relief. Because here I thought that we were going to see a severance of the team and Simon Gotch was going to get a singles push, which I still believe he has the potential to do down the road. He may need some fine-tuning a little bit, but I am glad to see this team sticking together, because I really do think they're an excellent pairing, and seeing them go back to their heel roots, it's been a while. I feel like they've gone long enough without being heel that they can return to those waters and it can feel fresh again. So I'm intrigued what they can do now that they're really going to go back to being Vaudevillains, emphasis on the villains.
I gotta tell you, man, I hope they bring back their original heel theme.
I was thinking the same. I'm so glad you said that, Ashton, because I'm like, they have 3 themes by now. Let's revert back to the second one that they were using.
Yeah, the one that starts off with like, but then they like do the pose in the middle and then it goes bum bum bum. Bum bum. I love that theme. That's so good.
I actually think that's my personal favorite one of the 3 they've had. And believe me, as a big Vaudevillains fan, I've listened to all 3 of them multiple times, and I can tell you, second one's the best one. So
I think so too. And I haven't listened to them multiple times, unless you count the multiple times that I've just happened to hear them during Vaudevillains entrance.
Yeah, there you go.
But the one that I think I actually have in the past, gone back to actually seek out and try and find a listen outside of the context of an actual Vaudevillains entrance, was that second one.
And you know what? I think if they go heel, you build up Jordan and Gable. When they win the tag titles, I'd say heel Vaudevillains would be a great first feud. Return to this matchup. I want to see these two teams go at it again for sure.
That's got to be at least a solid 6 months away, though.
Yeah, I would agree.
I don't know if they're even going to keep the Vaudevillains heel or even on NXT for that long.
Yeah, anything can change in the blink of an eye, but assuming that all the pieces can stay in play, I think that would be a great program for the NXT Tag Team titles. So
absolutely,
keep that on the table. But yeah, this is a great match, and now we can move on.
All right, up next, let's just talk about this new Elias Samson vignette, the Drifter Elias Samson. Not quite as pointed as last week's, I felt, because last week it was very clear that he was talking about previous NXT champions. Like he started out talking about the man, And then he said something about about gravity, and then something about someone losing their friends, and then they KO'd his heart, referring to Owens and Zayn, and now it belongs to the Demon. And so he was very clearly talking about each individual NXT champion. I think he might have skipped Big E and Bo, but I'm not completely sure on that. I have to go back and look back at the lyrics. But then he proceeded to say, what we have is a bunch of, what was it?
Masqueraders?
Yeah, that's what it was. Thank you. Masqueraders. And what we need is liberators. And what I am is what it needs, or what it needs is what I am, or something like that. And he repeated that line tonight. The masqueraders, liberators, what it needs is what I am. He repeated all that tonight. But other than that, everything was new, but not really. It was more vague.
I'm really liking the vibe of this gimmick, man. I think this is exactly what it needed.
I almost have to wonder, like, are they going to give him a legit main event push when he shows up?
They may, dude.
Because he's talking about going after the title right away and how the title needs him. Like, I could see them doing with him almost like what they did with, like, Titus O'Neil and Brodus Clay when Neville was champion, and just kind of putting him in for a television feud for the champion and never really winning the title.
You know, Ashton, this may be reaching a little bit, but you and I always like to have a good time, playing with the pieces on the board, whether it's NXT, Lucha Underground, or whatever. I would love to see, before he's on his way out, I'd love to see a brief program between Sami Zayn and Elias Samson. Get him over. Get him in the mix. He's calling out all these guys. Why the hell not?
You know what, though, John? He would almost have to beat Sami in that context, and I don't like that at all.
Well, you have to lose on your back. I mean, before you go to the main roster, you put one last guy over, and then you go and you take care of your business with Owens. I would only really be comfortable with it if I knew he was going to the main roster. If he was sticking around, I'd be more sympathetic to your view.
Right. I mean, I get the idea that you want Sami to put somebody over before he goes up to the main roster, but I don't think that you want to do that with somebody that's been known as a jobber up until now.
Well, even so.
Like when Charlotte went up to the main roster, she put over Sasha, who was the frickin' champion.
Right.
Like when Neville went up, he put over Zayn. When Paige went up, she put over Charlotte. Like, there isn't really much of a history of people putting over random people that haven't gotten a push yet.
And while that is true, we also have to remember, and I feel like it's been a while since we've said this, you don't necessarily need to win to look great. If Elias Samson can hold his own with Sami Zayn, right, I think that still makes a statement.
But I just don't like this idea, because even if Sami wins and Elias takes him to the limit, you've taken the air out of Elias Samson's tires before he's even tried to pull out of the driveway.
I don't know, man. I disagree, but I do hope that Elias Samson
I would do the
big.
Baron Corbin build with Samson. Just put him against randoms. Maybe at some point put him against somebody with a familiar face. Maybe because commentary has kind of made at least something of a big deal out of like a Jesse Sorensen. Maybe put him against Ty Dillinger and have him beat him. Have him work his way up the ladder at least. I don't think you put him in there with Sami Zayn and say, yeah, take him to the limit, and then Sami wins.
Well, then, if we're going to build him up, I would at least want his first big program. How about Apollo Crews? Because I think Apollo Crews is in that sweet spot of not being quite main event, but still really having that credibility. You build up Elias Samson in the meantime, maybe have those two meet in the middle. I just think Elias Samson, if we're going to be serious about what he's doing and who he's calling out, he's going to have big programs. I don't want this to be another Ty Dillinger thing where it seems to have all the polish, but none of the push. I really want to see Elias Samson do something.
You saying that almost makes me think that it will be, because Dillinger has had vignettes too, and they've never really done anything with him.
That's true.
So I don't know. Maybe we're getting our hopes up too much, but I think that the really outstanding thing about this is just the fact that he specifically was targeting the NXT Championship in that first one.
Right.
Maybe that's why they changed it, so that they could get away with not necessarily putting him in a main event program to start things out.
Maybe. You never know. But I am intrigued by this gimmick nonetheless, and here's to hoping it goes somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about, we had another Alex Reyes interview. Not even the last one of the night, man. He had a lot of action tonight. With Emma and Dana Brooke. Dana really just doesn't like Asuka at all. Like, she's just really angry at Asuka for kind of just existing.
Yeah, she really hates Asuka's face.
She does.
But yeah, Dana Brooke pretty much saying, I wish that Emma wouldn't have let up on Asuka, because I was going to come down there and I wasn't going to pat her head. I was going to smack her face. She's getting all excited. And then Emma's like, Dana, calm down. Just calm down. And then Emma's pretty much saying, well, Asuka learned that she messed with the wrong girls, that's for sure. And, now, she realizes that we run this place. But I've got a match to get ready for. Dana, why don't you stay back here and cool off? And, Dana Brooke then pats Alex's head, and she says, I feel so much better. And then she, walks out. So Dana's still Dana, and Emma's still amazing is pretty much what I took away from this segment.
This is my favorite Emma has ever been.
Oh my god, dude, I know. She's so freaking good. It's almost a shame, dude, that she really put it together and got this good around this time. Because with Nia Jax and everybody else on the scene, you know that Emma probably won't get back in the NXT Women's Championship picture. But I'm still
You know
loving
what, though,
the work
John?
she's doing.
If you actually look at the current landscape of the NXT Women's division, what match has been built up more?
Yeah, Emma versus Asuka, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So really, I mean, I hate to try and devalue the championship, and that's not what I'm trying to do, but at this point, I think I would almost rather be in the position Emma is in than have a ton of concern about whether she's going to be in the NXT title picture or not.
Yeah, certainly true. I mean, she's in a great program with a great worker. I mean, a legendary, women's worker in Asuka. So I'm happy for her. And honestly, I'm not eager to see her go back up to the main roster, even if it was with this heel gimmick, because she's just doing the best work of her career right now, and I just want to keep on that path. So this is excellent stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we get to her match versus Liv Morgan. For those of you that are like, that Liv Morgan, man, she looks familiar, but I can't put a face to a name. She, at one point, had a match as Gianna Daddio.
Yes. And it was great to see her again. I really like her look and the whole gimmick and vibe she gives off. I just love the whole array of colorful characters on NXT and personalities. And yeah, the match that she had with Emma, or at least what I was able to see of it, quite solid. It was great to see Liv Morgan, get offense, but Emma, though, just very aggressive. I mean, repeatedly, bashing Liv Morgan's head into the top turnbuckle and just doing all that kind of work. I mean, I just love just the really aggressive, almost like brawl-esque style of Emma with this persona that she's been carrying around, this chip on her shoulder. It really pays dividends. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, she does win the matchup, but I'll have Ashton here fill in the gaps, some of the things he liked in this matchup that I probably missed. So what did you really like about this match?
I just love how freaking brutal Emma has gotten in the ring.
Yeah.
Dude, this match, I really want you to go back and watch this match, because this is, I think, not, if you look at the entire landscape of the history of the NXT Women's division, but discount Asuka and Sasha because they're the queens of the history of this division, this is the stiffest match I've ever seen in NXT. Women.
Yeah.
This match, and I don't even, apparently I'm really bad at actually picking out when this is happening and when it's just really, really good wrestling and they're making it look like it's happening even though it isn't. But it looked to me like Emma was throwing potatoes out there.
Yeah.
It really did. It looked to me like Liv Morgan did something to piss her off and she started throwing legit shoot punches on her.
Right.
That was how freaking stiff this match looked to me.
Yeah, she really took it to Liv Morgan, and Liv Morgan, I mean, she tried battling back because I saw the guillotine spot in the roll through into the mount punches, and stuff like that. But man, it was just too much. Emma was not to be denied this victory tonight. It was just vicious by Emma.
Yeah, this match came off as Emma shows up thinking, oh, this is going to be a nice little chance for me to squash somebody, to take my anger out. And then Liv Morgan put up just a little bit of a fight, and that was enough to piss Emma off.
Yeah.
Emma is just thinking, how dare you actually try to beat me when you're supposed to be my freaking meal for today being served up on a silver platter.
And you know what? This Emma, even though, and we've already had discussions about this in the past, Asuka hasn't exactly been booked as this killer or whatever, say a Nia Jax has, but...
Or Emma has. Freaking Emma has been booked more as a killer than Asuka to this point.
And but I think it's needed though, because they still want to make it seem like there's this air about Asuka, you step in the ring with her, you're dead. Yeah. And I do like that they're booking Emma this way because it shows, I'm not going to go quietly.
Right, and after the match, we got an Asuka video where she was kicking a punching bag, and she says, "Emma, see you at London." And then the entire crowd freaked out and started chanting, "Asuka's gonna kill you! Asuka's gonna kill you!" And I love the way Emma handled it too, because rather than being like all this like overly animated, like old school Emma, where she's like, "Oh my God, no," freaking out, acting like she's gonna get her head bashed in, even though she probably will. She just rolls out of the ring, walks to the top of the ramp, gets one last look at the audience as they're in their frenzy, and just walks to the back. And that's all it is. Like, she just goes about her business. She knows that she's going to take Asuka to town, and nobody else seems to think that. But dude, this is the match I'm looking most forward to. Still, I said it last week and I'm saying it again. This match, I think, has been the most well built. Maybe save for Finn Joe, but this is the match that, from a wrestling perspective, this is the one that I want to see most.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm getting there. In fact, I really think I already am there, because as good as I believe Joe and Balor will be, I mean, you're talking about Emma, Asuka here, and this personal incarnation of Emma versus Asuka. Like, it's going to be a great matchup. I think everybody would be wise not to overlook this match. And to be fair, I don't think anybody is, thankfully, because I really do believe this could be the show stealer that we're talking about at TakeOver London. So let's see what they can do. But I think the table's been set and it's been done magnificently. So now it's just up to them to carry it home.
Yeah, like, I mean, you say hopefully no one's overlooking this match. More importantly, hopefully nobody listening to this is overlooking this match.
Right, yeah.
I hope that we've done a good enough job of raising awareness of just how badass these women are.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
yeah,
damn.
This match is going to be wonderful. The only thing that I will say is I hope that they don't give it like that kind of like, "Oh, you're not the women's championship match, so you're going to be considered a secondary match" kind of treatment, and only give it like 8 minutes. Like, I want this match to go 12 plus.
Yeah, definitely, because any good matchup, and you've seen it, no matter where you are on the card, it needs time to tell a story. Give these women time to tell their story, because everything preceding it, I think, has made it more than worthy of that treatment, and I'm just hoping that they get it.
Honestly, just the way it's been built, I almost feel like Cruz Corbin would benefit more from being like under 8 minutes than this match.
Agreed. I completely agree. Yeah, I think that would actually work out perfectly. You give Corbin, Cruz 8 minutes, and you give, again, Emma, Asuka 12 plus, somewhere in that range. So let's hope that it works out that way.
All right, next we had another Alex Reyes interview with Bayley. Really casual Bayley too. She looks really chill here. It was really cool to see her in her more casual gear rather than all dressed up in wrestling gear and stuff. She says that, she starts talking about Nia Jax and the fact that she's never really been in the ring with anybody of her size. But she does say that she's willing to accept any challenge head on. But then Nia shows up and stares Bayley down, stares at the title, that kind of thing, and then just kind of walks away. And Alex reiterates, like, it seems kind of like Nia just asked for a match. And Bayley says, "Yeah, I'll accept any challenge." But then, before she even gets a chance to finish her line, Nia comes in, grabs Bayley, and literally throws her through a door.
Damn, I can't believe I missed that. That sounds amazing.
It was intense. It was freaking intense.
Nothing really to say, guys, because I didn't see it, but I mean, Nia throwing Bayley through there, that's great imagery of an underdog just being pummeled by, the mountain that they have to overcome. That's brilliant. It's straightforward. Nothing to say here but that. I can't wait for their title match at TakeOver London.
Nia's so gonna
win. I know, dude. I think so, but I don't know. We'll talk about it, because we are going to do TakeOver London preview predictions, right? Like we always do, so.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll save my thoughts then, but right now, ain't looking good for Bayley, so Izzy better get the tissues ready, because I think it's going to be a long night of crying.
Well, I mean, if Izzy can survive Sasha Banks throwing her headband at her, I think she'll be fine.
That is true.
God, that match was great. But then we got our main event of the evening, Tommaso Ciampa, Samoa Joe. This match was amazing. This is a contender for NXT TV match of the year.
Yeah, you really got into this matchup. While I was trying to work out my problems, like this guy over here, my co-worker commentator, seemed to be popping for every other move.
That's because this match was so freaking physical. Like, this reminded me of like a freaking Sheamus Cesaro slugfest, man. These guys were killing each other.
And from what I was able to see, that's the vibe that I got, because I saw Joe working over the arm of Ciampa. I saw Ciampa trying to battle back at another point with the guillotine into a Kimura armbar, which looks sick. I saw Joe taking Ciampa from one corner to the next, and this look in his eyes like, I'm enjoying hurting you, and I'm gonna hurt you even more. Like, it's not over.
Dude, at one point in this match, the camera was on Joe. Joe wasn't even looking at Ciampa. Like, Ciampa was backed into a corner, and Joe was walking away from him. And the camera caught Joe's face, and he legitimately looked like he needed to be exercised.
Yes.
Like, bring in the frickin' 19 whatever decade it was Exorcist movie, get that priest, and get him to take care of Samoa Joe, because the man's got demons inside him. And we're not talking about the Finn Balor kind either.
No, we're not. And believe me, I think a Demon Balor, I don't even know if that iteration of Balor can stand up to this Samoa Joe, because he just seemed completely focused, and yet it was a very physical matchup, and I'm glad to see, Ciampa wasn't to be denied. He was defiant against Joe. He got his strikes in, he put up a fight, he mounted an offense, but right now this Samoa Joe is as good as he's ever been, and it was just too much.
It was. Oh my God, this is great though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he won with the coquina clutch, right? He choked him out.
Dude, he hit the muscle buster.
Right.
Yeah, he hit the muscle buster, and Ciampa sat up after the muscle buster. Like, I feel like if Joe would have gone for a pinfall, it would have been a 1 count, but then he did lock in the coquina clutch and get the tap out victory.
Yeah, so Joe, just continues to roll on. I don't think Balor's run is going to end at TakeOver London, at least for the moment. We still have one more NXT.
Dude, I don't think it's going to either, but I'm starting to doubt that thinking.
Well, Joe's just been on such a roll, and he has really, this is, because I've only seen Joe do heel work 2 times prior, because when he first came into TNA, and I saw him when he built up that undefeated streak, he was a heel, and then of course the whole Nation of Violence, he was a heel there too, but I think this heel work is just the best, hands down, because he has the experience he didn't have when he first came in, and as far as comparing this to the Nation of Violence, there is no camp here, there is no hokiness, he's playing it straight, and it freaking works. Joe looks like such a legitimate threat. If this heel Joe, when John Cena was U.S. champion, if this heel Joe would have answered the call, I would have put my money on Joe to beat Cena for that championship. That's just how legit I believe this iteration of Joe to be. I can't wait for his match with Balor. Yeah,
now that I think about it, I wonder what live special was it that Hideo was injured, quote unquote injured on?
Oh, wasn't that? It wasn't.
Was it Unstoppable?
Or was it? No, because it wasn't Brooklyn, right?
No, it was before that.
Then it had to be Unstoppable then, because it was whatever match.
It was, dude. That was the show Joe debuted on.
Wow.
What if it was Joe that took Itami out?
That could be. Honestly, dude, that's looking far more plausible at this point than Balor.
Because it really, really is. Oh my God.
Itami versus Joe, huh?
Dude, I can't believe we didn't connect that before. Yeah. On May 20th, 2015 at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, Joe made his debut. And that was during the main event after stopping Kevin Owens from attacking an injured Sami Zayn with a steel chair before sharing a stare down with Owens. So Joe's debut was on that show. And at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable, Itami was scheduled to face Balor and Breeze in a triple threat match to determine blah, 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 but he was ruled out due to injury after an attack he suffered before the event started. So dude, that is completely plausible.
Damn. If they pull the trigger on Itami Joe, those matches, though.
But what I'm saying, though, is that makes me think Joe's winning the title now.
I don't know, man. See, now preview predictions for TakeOver London's become very interesting with some of the championship
that's
matches
my
here.
thing too. Is like I feel like either A, we're gonna get sort of a screwy finish, which NXT really is not known to do.
Right.
B, we're gonna get Joe somehow managing to fight his way back to number one contendership for the next live special in February. Or C, Joe's winning the title, and then he'll be the one to defend it against Itami the day before WrestleMania rather than Balor.
Which, I'm fine with that. Joe's been doing quality work. I could buy a program with him and Itami with Joe working the heel role. Absolutely.
I've been under the impression this whole time, too, that Samoa Joe was just frickin' cannon fodder. Like, they were just bringing him in for the sake of building up other people using his reputation. But, man, he beat Corbin. He is looking... I'm telling you, this changes things.
It really does. It really does. TakeOver London's intrigue, I think, has just greatly multiplied. And, tonight, Joe beats Ciampa, and could Balor be next? Because here's the thing, too. Balor's had a great run. This isn't like a Sami Zayn situation where it was very brief, but here's the thing. The moment Sami Zayn came up against a badass heel and Kevin Owens, he got destroyed. Who's to say Balor's number hasn't finally been called up with Joe? Yeah. That's my thing. There are no guarantees in NXT anymore, because I think there used to be a time where they believed, like, oh, we should have all of our champions go on these long title reigns, because I think Triple H has this mindset, like, oh, long title reigns, you raise the prestige. And while that still holds true in some cases...
2015 has been the unpredictable year, though, that's for sure.
It has, because while I still think that holds true in some cases, Balor has had a good run. If it were to end here, it's not like they've done a disservice to Balor.
Right.
And
well, I mean, if you look at it, Balor won the title on the 4th of July. And that's super easy to remember because it was the Beast in the East show.
Yeah, he's almost been champion now because it's only December 2nd.
It's been 5 months.
Yeah, almost 6 months now in 2 days then. Because if he wanted
5. 5.
Well, Joel, 5. But regardless, it's still a long reign.
Right.
And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Joe upset him here.
That's a little bit shorter than what Neville's reign was, because Neville's was like 7 months, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Neville was May to December, wasn't it? Oh, no, Neville was February to December. He won it on arrival, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So Neville had a really long reign, but he's also the longest reigning champion too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Zayn's title reign was only 2 months.
Yeah, Zayn. Yeah.
That's easy to remember because Kevin Owens liked to brag about how he won the title 2 months to the day after his debut.
Right.
So that was a 2-month reign, and then Owens held it for, I guess, 5 months, and now Balor's going to have held his for 5 as well, and then Joe's going to hold his for 5 as well. So lots of 5-month reigns.
Yeah. And I think it's time, because honestly, like, it's not that I've grown bored of Balor, but I think Joe's just become more interesting than him. I'm ready for a title change.
And that's the thing, too, is I do really think that Balor is underrated by a lot of people, because a lot of people think, oh, he's boring. He doesn't have anything. He's a one-trick pony. All he does is the demon paint, and everything else is just generic. But I think that there are a lot of nuances to Finn Balor that people don't appreciate, because there are just some people that are just looking for something to shit on.
And it's funny you say that, because, in my side of things, I've seen a lot of people that think that Balor is like one of the greatest ever. If anything, I think he's just a tad, and I love Balor, but a tad overrated. So it's funny, like, you and I, different sides of the fence, but I'm ready for a title shakeup. I'm ready for Joe to have his moment in the sun. And, I mean, it couldn't come at a better time, because this is the best work of his career. So,
we might get the entire NXT landscape flipped on its head at London. I don't think it's actually going to happen, but I could potentially see all 3 titles changing hands.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening either, but the potential's certainly there. It is certainly there.
Because
so we'll have to see, yeah.
Why in the world would you put Enzo and Cass up against the Mechanics, going for the tag titles again, if you didn't plan on just giving them the frickin' titles? Like, it would make sense that they would put the titles on the Mechanics as transitional champions so that you wouldn't have to do Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillains for the titles, right?
That is true. Yeah.
That's
We'll
a
see.
possibility. We've already agreed. Like, I think the one match on this entire card that you and I agree on unanimously, Nia Jax is winning the championship.
Yeah, I'm really leaning that way, unless something like out of left
Right.
field happens at the last episode. Before
And now this
London.
revelation that Joe debuted on the same night that Itami got hurt, that tells me that they're going to inevitably build up to those two guys clashing. And I think that the ideal day to do it is the day before WrestleMania. And then the only reason I keep on saying the day before WrestleMania is because they had Brooklyn was the day before SummerSlam. So I think they're just going to have an NXT Live special the day before both of those two big pay-per-views.
And let me just say this too, because we've been talking a lot about Joe. Let me just, for all the Balor fans, I'll put this out right now. I feel like if Balor drops the title here, a main roster call-up isn't far behind.
Rumble, yeah.
Either Rumble or maybe a little bit after, but regardless, WWE is
Post-WrestleMania Raw.
Post-WrestleMania Raw, but the fact is, the main roster at this point in time is suffering from a lack of talent.
Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So if you have Finn Balor debut soon, like that gets a big pop. Yeah. That creates intrigue. So I feel like if Balor does drop the title here, it actually coincides perfectly because we are this close to the road to WrestleMania. And I feel like, a main roster call-up isn't far behind.
We haven't even done preview predictions yet, and I'm so freaking hyped for London. That's really what the theme of this show was. This entire show was built around getting you hyped for London, and it worked.
It really did. So much possibility going into this show. And could we be looking at a new NXT champion? Only time will tell. But with that said, do you have anything else you want to say about the show before we get into our next segment?
Let's move on, man. We're going to talk our asses off if we don't do something about this.
High spots and low shots. My low shot is Liv Morgan because you got that ass whooped. Emma took you to school and back, and she has never looked better. So while I think Liv Morgan has a bright future alongside a lot of the other NXT women that we've been, seeing lately, this new crop of talent, now is just not her time. Emma just stomped her out. So
literally,
there you go. Literally
stomped her. And I like Emma's variation of the curb stomp a lot too, because if you look back to what Seth did, he was always standing around waiting for the other person to get in position. Emma will grab you literally by your hair to set you up for her curb stomp.
Yes. It's a terrific setup. It's straightforward. So yeah, Liv Morgan, wasn't a good night for you, but I'm sure you'll bounce back.
Yeah. My low shot is going to be the Vaudevillains because these guys have fallen so far from grace. They were just the NXT Tag Team Champions no more than a month ago. And now they are on a massive losing streak, and they've already fallen from their chivalrous ways, refusing the handshake at the end of the match.
Hey, the win by any means necessary, but I do agree with you. They've had a very rough go at it.
Win by any means necessary. They didn't cheat.
Well, they may soon go down that road. I mean, once you forsake civilly, everything else is off the table. There's no code of ethics. There's no principle. Any means necessary. But honorary high spot, Elias Samson. Very intrigued by this gimmick. Second vignette. Generated a nice bit of discussion between us. Yeah. We agree to disagree on some things, but whatever road they take, I hope they at least take some road, period, and he doesn't get Ty Dillingered. But yeah, that's my honorary high spot.
I'd love to know when Ty Dillinger became a verb.
Just now because of his sucking. And now my actual high spot, let me see here, Jordan and Gable. Jordan and Gable, they keep winning, completely antithetical to the Vaudevillains at the moment. They're building up a streak.
I was fully expecting you to go full on Pokemon mode and just have your entire explanation be you saying Jordan and Gable.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, my high spot, Jordan and Gable. And why? Because Jordan and Gable, Jordan and Gable, Jordan and Gable, and Jordan and Gable.
Which would have been completely sufficient,
Right.
But,
that's why I expected it, because that's something that would actually work in this context.
Yeah, absolutely. But these guys are amazing. I love them to death. Can't wait for them to be NXT Tag Team Champions. And yes, it is an inevitability. Get on the train, marks. And that is my high spot.
Man.
So
if there's any team that I actually wish would get called up before winning the tag titles, it's them, because the main roster needs them so bad right now.
Oh my God, New Day versus Jordan and Gable.
Oh my God, don't even do that to me, John.
Yeah, Big E and Jason Jordan just exchanging power offense in that ring. Oh,
Chad Gable and Xavier Woods exchanging verbal barbs.
I know. Yeah, it'd be amazing. So who's your high spot? I think I have a good idea who it might be, but maybe you'll surprise me.
It's Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I figured.
There's no doubt about that. He's like just the ruthlessness. Where was he in 2002 when Vince McMahon said ruthless aggression? Because, man, he's got it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, to give your high spot to somebody that commits murder and is able to get away with it, because he just destroyed Ciampa in that ring tonight. I mean, muzzle buster and then choking him out.
That's the thing, though. It was such a good match because it was really competitive.
Yeah, it was. No doubt about that. Not that Ciampa went quietly, but just the way that Joe punctuated the match.
Yeah.
Just dominant punctuation. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to go back and watch it, guys. Rest assured. Freaking WWE Network, third pot shot of the night. But, yeah, Joe.
Still not enough.
But Joe
they deserve
is just
so much more.
They really, for $9.99, yeah, my ass. Joe has just never looked better. I even said, nothing against Balor, but I got to be honest. I'm a fan of Balor, but I'm not this crazy, oh my God, Finn Balor. To me, the veneer's kind of worn off. I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for a shakeup. I'm loving this heel Samoa Joe. Let's do the title change. And for now, you're damn right he had the best night. I mean, he's the number one contender, and he's really solidified that status. He's stamping out all comers. So, yeah, Joe's an excellent choice.
This is the best work he's done ever.
Agreed. There's no contention there. So with that said, is there any concluding remarks you have before I take us home?
I can't even imagine how they're going to top this and last week with next week's show.
I can already tell you, and I don't say this negatively, I expect kind of a cool-off for next week because it is the go-home show and they've really set the table. So it's probably going to be pretty straightforward, nothing too extravagant. Still probably be a fun hour, but I think compared to this episode, it won't be able to touch it. I just don't see it. But then again, if anybody can prove me wrong, if any entity can prove me wrong, it is NXT. But with that said, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what questions do you have for our viewers this week?
Do you think that Samoa Joe was the one that attacked Hideo Itami, and if not, who did?
Yeah, straightforward enough. Put your thinking caps on. Play Sherlock Holmes. Tell us who you think ran Hideo Itami down. Be sure to take your conversation over to Pletov, an amazing pro wrestling group on Facebook. A lot of NXT fans. We even have a running gag now, guys, where we have different members participate. The Chad Gable fact of the day. Some hilarious ones there. So, you've got some fans there that are ready, willing, and Gable. But if you don't like that, if you're not into that, you're more I want a nice, quieter crowd, a more intimate knit group. Yes.
Chad Gable fact of the day. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, lay it on me.
Chad Gable's tears can cure cancer, but he can't actually be used because he's never cried.
I knew it! But, if you want a more intimate group, Ashton's created a TWitWoW subreddit. There you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and you are endowed with the power, if you're a member of that subreddit, to create threads of your own with any wrestling-related inquiries posed towards Ashton or myself. And guys, we will see you again this Thursday for our next Luchador Spotlight. We will be covering the Disciples of Death, much to wrestling fan LC's delight. He had 8 Red Bulls when he heard the news, and on that... Yes.
Our next spotlight's on Katrina.
Oh, Katrina, damn. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think Wrestling Fan LC, he jumped the gun. That was my mistake. But still, we are covering death, people. It's going to be huge. Katrina's got all the power right now. I know you guys are all anticipated for it because a lot of people were thinking, death's coming and all that stuff. And on that same note, I do want to thank everybody for their feedback on the Eva Lise episode. It has been wildly successful. She deserves all of it because she's amazing. And I love the feedback that a lot of you had. Nestbound65, Cal Dagstar, all of you guys that had fantasy booking ideas that I interacted with, you guys are amazing. We love you. Keep at it. Keep the conversation going. And until then, my friends, tune in and peace out.